Hey guys, this is my first real YouTube video, and I really felt forced to make it because I see a lot of my fellow humans pretty much just lost in an ocean of bullshit. And it's not their fault. It's not even the fault of the people that are lying to them. It's really just because there's systemic flaws in human reasoning that uh, I don't think I have any chance of fixing them, but I at least like to address them. Um, I'm talking about the spiritual crowd. Um, I'm talking about the pseudoscience crowd, the homeopathy crowd, the paranormal crowd. Um, I mean, it's really trivial to demonstrate why all those are wrong. Now, but what's really interesting is why people think they're right. I think that really gives you some insight about the human condition there. And I think it's important to note that pretty much everything about our experience, our subjective reality, is an illusion, especially our sense of agency and all that stuff like that. We can get to that later because that's a proof in its own right. But uh, I would just like to get to an assumption that is really the cornerstone of what will get you started on the right path if you actually do care about truth. Now, there's uh, the assumption is that there's a reality outside of us that we share that's consistent, and this causes a lot of problems for a lot of people because they think that they should be able to will themselves into another reality or change reality, like I don't know, like some sort of wizard or what have you. And if you can, I would love to see it. I would immediately adopt your worldview if it showed that sort of merit. So just realize that I'm not stubborn or set in my ways or anything like that. I will instantly conform to reality, reality the second it's demonstrated, and and I think that's the essence of what being someone who's interested in truth is all about. You should be able to accept the truth when you find it. Now, we should define truth for ourselves, and I think that truth can be simply defined as just information that accurately describes reality. Now, uh, why do people get off on the wrong tangent? Because they seem to think that their intuition applies universally, where it's only a tool that can be used inside the realm of our own experience. So, like objects that are a certain size, objects that are going a certain speed. Like, if you pour a glass of water, or excuse me, you tip over a glass of water, the water's going to spill. That sort of stuff is valuable intuition, and you can take it to the bank. That's fine. But I'm talking about um, applying human expectations to realms that are completely devoid of any human consideration. Like, well, why would people think there's an afterlife? Because, well, one, it makes them feel good, and two, they don't think they should be in a, like, why would the universe summon them into existence, into a world that is trying to kill them and is full of suffering and stuff like that? There's got to be a reason, right? Well, really, there doesn't. There's never been any bias towards humans that's ever been demonstrated by reality. I mean, we occupy a planet with flies that will lay eggs in your eyes and stuff like that. There's true terrors. I mean, nature is fundamentally brutal. So if you think that nature somehow has uh, written in part of the plan that will save us, I mean, like, why? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, I understand uh, if this were the Garden of Eden or something like that, then like maybe you'd be onto something. But you don't even have the like one data point to suggest that somehow this is a human-centric universe. Um, there's the fact that we can exist, but That's like the same format of problem that uh, uh, like this universe that can support my existence. Was the universe created for my existence, or can I simply exist because the universe happens to have the right characteristics? Or is my hand does my hand exist so I can use it, or do I use my hand because it exists? There's um there's a fundamental shift in your reasoning that you have to make that really takes you out of the focus and allows you to look at the reality outside of us because it simply isn't human centric. I mean, that can be demonstrated in a million different ways. And I think your first tool on your search for truth, if all of this isn't already obvious to you, should be the simple observation that if you are entertaining a notion that makes you feel good or is pro human in some sort of profound way, like the afterlife or humans being able to do magic with their minds or telekinesis, pyrokinesis, remote viewing, uh, the list goes on. Um, if any of those ideas that make you feel, if those ideas make you feel good, that's your first clue that it's not true. and and if you continue on that theme, uh, you can really cut through a lot of nonsense. And you know how I talked about the definition of truth. Truth is something that describes reality. So how do you get truth? Well, you ask reality, and that simply put is just observation, empiricism. That's the backbone of our technology, of the scientific method. It's what has given us anything. I mean, even simplistic tool making back in the Stone Age, they didn't will that into existence. They saw patterns in reality and exploited them. Simple as that. Now, I would really love for to see someone disappear before my eyes, or do anything that they purport to do, uh, from the science from the paranormal community. It would be so easy to convince me if those were real. I'd be the first one to advocate on their behalf. And and I think that really demonstrates uh, something kind of odd about people's willingness to believe. Because once again, they're working backwards from a conclusion. They're not working forwards from the facts. You can't, without getting information from reality, you can't accurately describe reality. I mean, there's a famous quote from um, what's his name, uh, Hitchens, and he says that what can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without it. Because if you don't have evidence, you don't even have a chance at describing reality. And and if that point could just be somehow, if people could somehow be convinced of that point, then we would have like what the Renaissance should have been, honestly, because the what the Renaissance represented is like 2% of the population using this methodology that I'm describing. Now, imagine if 100% used it, we'd have a utopia. And a lot of people think that observations of reality, the scientific method and stuff like that, doesn't apply to ethics. But really, if you think that, you don't understand what ethics really is or should be, because you can really just describe ethics as asking yourself the question, will this action increase human suffering or will it decrease human suffering? And you can be incorrect about how you answer those questions, but if you're using that method of analysis, then you're going to be way better off than someone that takes their morality from an ancient book, or something like that, or or acts good under the threat of eternal damnation or something like that. That's why typically atheist people will invariably be more ethical than a religious person, because a religious person is they're being selfless for selfish reasons, but someone that actually follows the golden rule, which is unfortunately in the Bible, they're doing selfless things for selfless reasons, and I think that's a lot more useful for the human project than trying to save your own ass from some celestial dictator or something like that. Now, there's oh yeah, so we got to the definition of truth, and I would just like to really encourage you guys to keep listening to my stuff. My thoughts are pretty scattered, but there is something here that I can help people with, and even if you're not emotionally prepared for it, even if you think um, I'm crazy, or I'm an asshole, or I'm drowning in hubris, or what have you. I'd really just like to emphasize that this really has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with you, um, provided this doesn't jive with your worldview. Um, and there's more to come. There's a lot of beautifully simplistic things that I can share with you that I really think that you're going to find uh, far exceeds the promises of of uh, of all these charlatans, because they'll promise you anything. Um, like, you want to buy this guy's self-help VHS tape or whatever for $30 that'll teach you how to remote view. I mean, the profit motive's clear in that. You know why you're getting lied to. So um, I don't really want anything except to see this place somehow improve. And though I'm completely impotent to make that change, I'm still going to try, because, yeah, it's not a whole lot of options. The hour is late, and yeah, we may already be too far gone. Anyway, stay tuned, and we'll see what we come up with. My future content hopefully will be far superior to this. Thanks, guys.